talk about how all of this sleep disturbance relates to dreams and nightmares and what your thoughts are about that, because that's obviously such a common problem for my population.
If you have issues that aren't resolved, they're going to keep coming back as repetitive dreaming until you actually deal with the content. One of the good things about alpha theta training is that the alpha theta training gives you access to the unconscious, preconscious material with alpha still present. So you can now deal with the unconscious material with your adult awareness. If it's in your REM sleep and you wake up, you have a vague sense that there was something. You may have some crude recollection of some image from the dream, but a lot of times dreams are parceled away from our conscious awareness. You wake up remembering that you were dreaming, but no real depth of understanding of what the content of the dream was. REM sleep is processing of material from the day. If you haven't got it all processed, it will keep coming back trying to get processed. And if it's disturbing enough for you and it wakes you up, so you're not kind of finishing the process, it disturbs things. Now, night terrors are a form of a sleep disturbance. It's not uncommon. There are aberrant forms of dreaming where people don't actually shut off their movements. And for some people, that shutting off of their movements doesn't turn off when they wake up, and they have a brief sleep paralysis, which is terrifying usually for people. I mean, you wake up and can't move. Where did all that motor control go? But your normal sleep turns off your movement so that you don't beat up your bed partner if you've got one, and or punch yourself in the face for that matter. So the thrashing that happens during dreams is an aberrant form of dreaming.
I would also just say here that the day residue is one way of looking at dreaming. But the dreams that most of my patients have suffered, or the nightmares that they suffered, aren't having to do with day residue. And I think it's more to the alpha theta notion that we are carrying information forever, that everything in a way that we've ever experienced, and perhaps even that our ancestors have experienced, is memory. It's in us in some way, and that can come out in dreams. And as we lower arousals, generally speaking, the sleep will kick in. What I'm looking at are and that's what I'm asking you about specifically, is the people where when you lower arousal, in other ways, either the nightmares persist or the insomnia persists, or and those can be separate issues. Those can be it can be contiguous issues. Have you ever seen REM sleep that's representing nightmares compared to REM sleep that is dreaming, typical dreaming?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also a picture of that. There's also in younger people that have night terrors and parasomnias, like sleepwalking, sleep talking, disturbed patterns in sleep. There's actually an EEG pattern that predicts that. It's not a one-to-one. You can't guarantee that they're having it. But when you ask about sleep, you usually end up finding that there's a sleep issue. Hypnagogic hypersynchrony. During the drowsy state, you get gigantic super rhythmic slow waves. And it's a normal variant. There's nothing abnormal about it diagnostically. Neurology won't get excited about hypnagogic hypersynchrony. But when you see it, you pretty well predict that they've got night terrors, sleepwalking, sleep talking, bedwetting. I mean, there's some nocturnal sleep disturbance going on when you see that, and it's predictive at a high enough rate that when I see it, it's usually accurate to say there's a sleep issue, isn't there? And they go, oh yeah, maybe 10% of the time you say there's a sleep issue, and they said, oh, well, not really. So it's a high enough percentage that it gives me the confidence that there's likely a sleep issue. I should ask about it, as opposed to just being a normal variant that you ignore. But EEG is full of things that have been declared normal variants that aren't really normal. So
So if you were looking at a difference between a dream and a nightmare, what would the EEG, would there be an EEG signature to that, and what would it look like?
Well, one thing about REM is that it looks very much like awakened state EEG, only without consciousness. And there are some that try to remain conscious during dreaming. It's something that you can learn to do. Lucid dreaming, which is Carl Pribram's topic that was picked up in lectures by LaBerge, Stephen, who kind of popularized the idea of it. They have masks that you can wear that will flash a little light when they detect rapid eye movement. But if you're dreaming and you see a little flashing light, that's supposed to flag you that you should be aware that you're dreaming. So there's lucid dreaming training things as well. But it's not easy to see content. It's easy to see state.
Yeah.
And that we can spot the state of dreaming. We can't spot, is this a green-eyed monster, or is this a placid lake? You know, we can't delve into the content from the surface EEG. Unfortunately, it'd be nice to be able to.
I don't think that. I think there's certain things that we have to keep private, and our dreams are probably one of those that we get to have to ourselves.